Stewart, Ohio's 25th.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. It's great to see so many folks. I was kind of having a deja vu there a few minutes ago, but in my deja vu, I had a lot more hair and a little less around the belly. But it sure seems like times many years ago when we all needed to come together, as we most often have to do, to try to set things right. I don't know if you've all seen this week's other paper. Dan Williamson's story, Ken Blackwell's right about liberal talk radio. I don't know when Ken Blackwell's been right about anything. He did ever. He did say one thing. He said liberals are good at several things. They make entertaining movies, write catchy toe-tapping songs. I was at the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young concert this year. He's right about that. They have some good toe-tapping songs. And they even make delicious all-natural ice cream. I love Jenny's. I think that's all-natural. I don't know. That's good stuff. But they can't figure out talk radio. In fact, they're terrible at it. Well, I think that's a bunch of crap. And almost everything Ken Blackwell stood for is a bunch of crap. But yeah, I didn't think I'd have any disagreement in the audience about that. And by the way, Ken Blackwell, you lost. I mean, and really big. But I do think that we have to start thinking about things. I really, really miss 12:30 a.m. I went through serious jonesing. I was trying to get up. I listened to it in the bathroom, and it was my wake up radio. It was in my car, in between meetings down at the State House. I had it on in the office, and I got good information out of it. It was entertaining as well. I think Al Franklin is funny as hell. And Stephanie Miller, who I had the opportunity to engage a little bit with her, is also tremendously funny and is doing quite well. Thank you very much, Ken Blackwell. As is Ed Schultz. Now, all of us, well, many of us, I bet, probably were at least at one of those. Either Al Franken, Ed Schultz, or who else we had? And Stephanie Miller here, right. I was at all three of those. You couldn't get in some of those places. You couldn't get in. It was standing room only. So I think that, not only is Ken Blackwell wrong, but so is Dan Williamson. And I think the first thing that we have to do is write letters tomorrow to the other paper and tell the truth. I think oftentimes that's all we really have to do is tell the truth. We just have to be better at it. And I think that what we're doing, and I want to thank everybody, not only for being here, but everybody who's involved in trying to make this movement to a place where we can actually bring back progressive radio in this town. And I think there's lots of ways to do it. And we've got a lot of smart people right in this room. And it was Margaret Mead that said, hey, never think that a handful of people can't change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. And we got more than a handful of people here. And I think that we have to start looking outside the box. We have to start, thinking of a paradigm shift that is unlike what we've done, in the past. Because, as they say, if you keep doing the same old thing, you're still going to get the same old stuff you've always gotten. And so we have to start thinking of new ways. We have to start raising dollars, perhaps. Maybe we all need to become investors in a company that goes in with a radio station to say, we can prove that progressive radio can work here. But I think what we have to do is this is the continuation of the dialogue to start making a difference, to show that in fact it can. I'm really concerned about where communications. I grew up in media. My mom was the film director at Channel 10 for 43 years, and it was where I guess as a man I got my feminist beliefs, because she was the director of the film department, but working for the Wolves. The men that worked for her made more money than she did. So I got an early education as a young child to see how things like that work out. But I also understand how media works, and unfortunately a lot of it is about making money. And 1230 and Clear Channel, these large corporations knew exactly how to let this fail. They were going to take our money while they were here, but they weren't going to do anything about promoting the station. They weren't going to spend any money trying to promote the progressive and liberal agenda at all. But they'll take our money. They'll be happy to do that. And when it fails, oh, so what? We got your money. That's enough. For now, we'll do something else. And that's unfortunately how communications is today. It's about making the bottom dollar. And maybe we have to think a little bit about that too. We have to figure out a way where it does work. If we were invested, if we were stockholders in a company that owned a progressive radio station, we can all become pro bono salespeople. Every one of us knows somebody that could buy time. I bought time on 1230, and I think that that's something we have to think about. We have to think about owning the damn thing, because the big corporations are never going to let us hear the truth. And it's going to be up to you and I and everyone here and all the friends that we know to make that difference, to be able to raise the dollars, to push the agenda, to think outside the box. And, you know, we have to do it. We have to do it on the national level. We have to do it on the local level. And just, you know, to take us a few seconds to talk about the local level. I'm extremely satisfied that Ken Blackwell was sent packing. But let me just add this. I am going to give Governor Strickland, my friend Governor Strickland, the benefit of the doubt. But as I tell people about me too, always put my feet to the fire. And I believe on the progressive agenda, and I'm on finance, and I'm seeing what's coming down the pipe. We have to help our friends do the right thing. We have to make the case for a progressive, forward-thinking agenda budget that invests in people instead of just corporate tax breaks. We have to let the governor do the right thing and help him do the right thing. And I think it's important not to just assume right now, but because we have a friend and ally in the State House, that things are going to be exactly the way we want them to be. They're never going to be the way we want them to be unless we make it so. And it's up to all of us, not only to write that letter to Dan Williamson and set the record straight, but make your opinions heard. This is my district, and you know where I'm coming from. But those of you who live in other House and Senate districts, make sure you let your representatives know about this budget. It should be a people's budget. We need to invest once again in the people of Ohio. Let's help them do the right thing. Let's do the right thing about progressive radio. Let's make sure we continue to work together until all our voices are heard.